This video is going to show you a solo Grandmaster Nightfall getting platinum rank on the Lake of Shadows, which is back round again, so we're back on that rotation. The Grandmaster node, catch-up node, is still not up and won't be up until probably the 7th of December reset, I would assume. So for now the Grandmaster rotation just carries on as it is. This run is on a Gunslinger with the Sharpshooter with the exotic hand cannon Thorn type run. Now it'll become clear why I use Thorn as we go on with it. This is more of a off-meta run, it's not meant to be a serious run, so don't take it as that. Okay, because we've already covered this GM in more of a serious capacity, so this isn't, you know, as serious as that. However, there's a huge benefit to using Thorn when you get to the boss, which you'll see. Our build is as follows. We have a solo damage resistance sniper, solo damage resistance concussive dampener, sorry, on the chest plate, so solo chest plate, with the exotic boots Lucky Pants, which synergizes with hand cannons, which we're using Thorn, so it was a good idea using that. We have Font of Wisdom with Shield Well Maker, which you didn't see on the start because the exotic boots doesn't show the when you put mods on Lucky Pants, it just shows hand cannon holster. It doesn't have another space on the tooltip to show you charge with light mods. But I had Shield Well Maker on, which means when you break a shield, a matching shield, you get a well to then pick up to then get, you know, Font of Wisdom, and then shield break charge protective light setup. So that's the setup we're using. Other weapons, we had an arc bone, which has an explosive head on it, and the standard threaded needle with Vorpal weapon. It's unstoppable linear and overload bow. Obviously there's only 2 types of champions, so we can do it like this. Mainly just using heavy when we can. When we start to get low on heavy, then we just start to use our threaded needle more as a primary, more as just a weapon to stop the champion, and then more of your damage will come from Thorn. Now this setup that I'm using is better with Malfeasance. So if you know what you're doing and you're, you know, really efficient at it, use this setup, but go on Malfeasance as for the hand cannon, because it does incredible damage, and it also has a bonus amount of damage towards taking enemies. All these champions and everything, you know, taken. Also, another thing that I forgot to do was I didn't put on taken spec mods on my weapons. So I just had major spec on both the bow and the linear, because you're dealing a lot of damage to champions more than anything else. That's something that you can do, put on taken spec, but I suppose this simulates that you don't even need that mod to get it done. Okay, you don't have to have taken spec. It's just all taken spec does is it's just gonna do more damage to all the enemies, rather than major spec only doing more damage to orange bars and the champions, right? Whereas the taken spec would benefit you towards the boss and everything else. So what we're doing here is we're doing the same strat as what we've sort of all done, like we've done for the whole of this season, where you take out the Blights back to front. It's key that you do that. If you don't do that, you're going to get additional overloads. The GM's going to be longer, a bit, like quite sizable amount of time longer than what you need to do. You'll still get platinum rank. It's just, you know, it's just a mini exploit, if you like. We are trying to separate the champions up, which was handy. We used our super as well to save on ammo. So anytime we get a super, we use it, because I know it's not Cecil Nighthawk, because I didn't go that route, because of Lucky Pants. Lucky Pants is just a better option because I'm using Thorn. But it's still going to do a good amount of damage, and we keep getting our super. You'll see that I'll farm my super up a lot in this run, because there's a perk, called Practice Makes Perfect, which stacks up to 5 times. You get a huge increase to intellect. Like, it's actually better than Font of Wisdom. That's how strong this perk is on Bottom Tree Gunslinger. So Bottom Tree Gunslinger isn't a good class overall, but there is good things about it. Okay, it's just its survivability isn't very good. But Lake of Shadows opens up loadouts, because obviously it's the easiest GM this season. So this is where you can sort of experiment, do other things. So we're taking these champions in stages. If you notice, we're not obviously one cycling them, because we've done double primary heavy, so we haven't got a lot of DPS. And as I said, the Thorn combo with Lucky Pants is good, right? When you get the damage burst and things, it's putting out sizable damage. It is let's not forget it's a primary weapon, right? It shouldn't be doing this amount of damage to a champ. So it's really good, but obviously Malfeasance is the next step. When you start doing that and Malfeasance is getting above, you're going to find a lot more hunters using Lucky Pants, especially with the Night Stalker nerf. Right? You're going to see a little bit less Night Stalkers, maybe more Revenants, because Revenant status is getting above, so you're going to see more of that with Lucky Pants setup, Malfeasance. And if the Witch Queen has Overload Hand Cannon, which I highly suspect it's going to have Overload Hand Cannon, Anti-Barrier Scout in Witch Queen, the champion mods, right, then you're looking at Malfeasance being probably like the strongest loadout. And that's no joke. Like, we went from like Anarchy being meta to like potentially having exotic primaries being the meta to use. And we're already sort of in that because we've got Vexsmith class. It is the best primary this season because of mods. Obviously once it gets its nerf and all that stuff, then that's different. So as you can see, I was taking the champions out in stages, using super when possible, you know, going to certain locations so that you don't have to really over commit to damage. As you saw where I was standing and things, the champion just backs off because I'm on that ledge. Those champions are just backing off. They don't know what to do. Just crouch on the ledge. They can't hit you. So this is the utility of Thorn, right? This is the whole reason why we're using it. Thorn can penetrate Blights. The only problem is it doesn't do a lot of damage to them, but it does penetrate them. Right, so I'm just showing you the utility. It's the only weapon in the game that can do this, right? Penetrate Blights. So it's really useful at the boss because you know, obviously, you know, if you're watching Lake of Shadows GMs solos, then you're gonna know why it's so useful. But obviously I'll leave that to when I get to the boss. So we're just taking out the Blights back to front. If you don't know how to do this, we're just taking out back to front. It's so important you do that so you don't get the overloads. And as I said, we can just take it from here. It doesn't seem to show, I don't know about the damage numbers, it's just giving me 131s, whereas when I step in the Blight, I'm getting a 698 damage when I use Thorn, or I have tested that. So I don't know, I think you do more damage when you're inside the Blight anyways. I think it's just the poison damage from Thorn that is doing, not the actual impact damage from Thorn is taking the Blight down when you're outside it, just the poison damage itself. See, it's actually technically, I didn't do this, right, because I'm obviously just testing Thorn out for damage. I could have just stood on top of the Blight and doing it that way, and I would have been able to take out these Blights way quicker than what I did. But obviously this run is nowhere near a good one, I would say, like, in terms of like, it's nowhere near an exceptional run. You know, it's like, if I rate it out of 10, it's like a 7 out of 10 run. You know, it's fine, it's average, it's bog standard. But what's different about it is I'm using Thorn. Right, I'm using a unique loadout, I'm using a unique subclass, so people value that and they'll want to watch it. So that's why I'm doing these types of things. Take out the foul Blight, check for ammo, always check for ammo. Some of the scions that you originally killed at the start may have dropped you some heavy. So it's so important to be keeping on top of your heavy when you double primary. Obviously we are using ammo finders on the helmet for fusion, and then the scavenger on the boots, like as always. And you will notice an increase in heavy when you got the double primary. But you could still run out if you're incorrectly using heavy when you shouldn't be, right? Overcommitting to damage, you know, melting one champ in one cycle, and then you've still got 6 champs to go, and you're literally out of heavy. Like, this run's kind of screwed because the Thorn is taking up a slot in your kinetic with no weapon mod. If it was unstoppable hand cannon, this would be even more viable than what it is right now. Right, then you could use any heavy you wanted, and you could actually save a lot more heavy, so you wouldn't have to stun the champ with your linear, you would stun the champ with your hand cannon, which I'm surprised it isn't unstoppable hand cannon. It generally is, right, but it isn't this season. There's a lot of other mods, a lot of other things. So you saw there I was taking the arc phalanx to the side, to the left. He groups up really nice, but just be careful not to leave a sparrow close if you sparrow over here, because if he shoots the sparrow it'll explode and kill you. And for the most part, you can avoid him. Farm up protective lights via his shield, because I have shield break charge. Shield break charge is so valuable in this, because literally, I'm fighting a knight, right? Imagine it. I take down his shield, he hits me with his darkness wall, he nearly kills me. I break his shield again, I get protective light, he does the same. So I can just farm him up, right? And the chances of him killing me are lower. Far lower. Without protective light, the sort of solo game is for GMs is quite different substantially, which it's kind of unfair to a certain degree that this whole aspect of mods being sold by Ada 1 isn't the best thing in the game, let's be honest. Someone starts brand new, they haven't got half of any mods. Now these are mods that change the game. War mine cells, you know. Wells are easy to acquire because it's this season, right? So they're just there to pick up. But the older mods, the Charge of Light mods, they were based on a different system. But the way we got them was sort of different. It was, you know, they were acquired differently, not from a vendor, so to speak. Actually, I can't remember how it was. No, it was from a vendor, I think, for that particular season, but that vendor's not here. I think I can't even remember what vendor it was. But anyways, you can only obtain the Charge of Light mods via the tower. So what is it? Okay, so I'm waiting Protective Light. 60 days time, I'm still waiting for Protective Light. I'm still waiting for Powerful Friends. So like, just have them for sale. Just say, right, what mods don't you have? Or have them as a drop. So they drop from chests, just like Adept mods. Like, it's common sense to put all that stuff in there. Those Overlord champions, as you saw, you just take them out with the bow. I don't really need to be using Thorn. Thorn's not going to do it for me so much in terms of, you know, it's not enough stun damage. It's not enough time between stuns on Overlords worth to be using Thorn. Now, obviously, Lucky Pants has hand cannon holster, which is obviously a brand new mod this season, and it gradually, slowly reloads Thorn. Oh, sorry, any hand cannon that's stored. Now you can stack them and go for 2 mods. I've tried this, like not this week, in a previous week, and it's not worth it to run 2 holster mods. The time benefit isn't worth it. So it's kind of a mod that's not that useful, but I could see it being out of hand if it was any stronger. So, you know, it's kind of weird how it sort of works. Kind of good with Ariana's Vow, you know, because Ariana's Vow is kind of like, you can break a GM champ's shield in 2 shots. So getting a reload of 2 shots, but it gets auto and holster anyways, so it doesn't matter, does it? The knights are going to be the problem here because we've opted to use a arc and a void, and it's okay why I went the void, because there's a void wizard that can be so much of a pain in this run. It's only 1 void shield, but it really is a pain, so I did end up going the void linear. We're going to rely on Gunslinger, right, we're the Sharpshooter, to take the solar shields, because there is a lot of solar shields, but not like loads. But all the solar shields are threatening, everyone, because they do the darkness wall. So what I'm wanting to do here is take down my shield with my grenade, and then we'll use our super. We'll get damage resistance. Gunslinger does have the damage resistance just like any other super. The damage resistance might not be the same as like a Roman super, but it's still enough to survive a wall. So as soon as you get that shield break, pop your super. Get your 3 crits if you can. That'll kill the ultra, the knight. There's 2 knights. Then we break the shield with our knife, which I wasn't expecting to do, so that was kind of handy. And then we can take on the second knight. He's, for some reason, de-aggroed. He's just... generally doesn't do that. He'll do his walls. He'll do his walls, you know, so you have to be a bit more mobile than what I was, but I saw he was sort of weird. He was just creeping up the stairs, so I could easily take him with the linear. Which they're well worth to melt them down. Any opportunity you have on a solar knight, you melt them down. That's why you really need to manage your ammo. Now, I'm not expecting people to do this with this loadout, but, you know, it's just giving extra tips, because even though, you know, you might be using a different type, maybe you say you go malfeasance, the tips what I'm saying in this will apply to the malfeasance solar. You would still limit your heavy, concentrate on malfeasance damage, because it can literally destroy champs. Your heavy is just at that point at the mercy of malfeasance to do all your stuff, right? But this is, like I said, it's a similar type of run, but just with Thorn, slower, on a worse subclass, but it's really good at the boss fight, which is why I'm doing it. This champion, we didn't get a stun on him like we were supposed to. Do you see I survived a 1-shot blast off him? That should be 1 shot on you. Now, the reason why it didn't isn't because of Protective Light. You will still survive that without Protective Light. But if you've got Protective Light going, then that's going to proc. You know, because obviously your shields break. But why I survived was Concussive Dampener. I've got Concussive Dampener on the chest plate and Solar Resistance. Solar Resistance to defend against Knights, because they're a problem. And then Champions, Unstoppables can be sort of They're not a problem, but sometimes they catch you off guard. And when they catch you off guard like so, it's nice just to have concussive dampener to survive that. Right, so it's like a, you know, it's a plan B. It's like, oh, he did catch me there, and that's my fault for the movement. You know, I get away with it, concussive dampener. So that's why we go it. We don't go arc resist, although there might be a little bit of benefit for the scions because they melt. The void resist snipers. But here's the thing about this GM, which I've sort of finally worked out really with this. You need to be T4 resilience minimum. You don't need to go sniper resistance. You don't need to do that. You just need to be tier 4 resilience minimum. If you are below tier 4, they one shot. If you go tier 3 resilience plus sniper damage resistance, you will survive it. But if you're tier 3 resilience with no sniper resistance, you will one shot to them. Right? They will one shot you. So in my world, it's, well, let's get best of everything. Solar resistance, best elemental. Concussive dampener, best for champs. And then tier 4 resilience. So I sacrifice a bit of recurve, a bit of discipline, like what I usually like to play with for that tier 4 resilience. So that's just an insight to why, you know, you run it. That's for this particular GM. I mean, it's different for everyone. For example, Hallelujah, you need tier 6 resilience with the void resistance and a concussive dampener. Well, you can go double void if you want. That helps you to survive a sniper. If you go, say, void damage resistance, tier 5 or tier 4 resilience, you get one shot still off the void snipers. So you've got to work out the GM, what's the deal with resistance. Once you know all that stuff, you all those little things that you optimize and give you an increased chance to actually get it done solo. Right, and then it turns the GMs they're not as difficult then, right? It's not an uphill battle. So we're prioritizing the scions to the left. Be careful they don't melee you like so. You saw he one shot me. Well, didn't one shot me, but he broke my shields, right? In one melee. Don't let them group up on you, and obviously they do. The best thing to deal with the sounds on this loadout was Thorn, believe it or not, because once you swap to the once you get the Lucky Pants buff going, right, you'll just one-shot those sounds basically with the buff when you've got the holster mod. So just to quickly explain that while we take these overloads, what we're doing here is we're doing it from the bridge area. We're just taking the overloads with elbow, the snipers, the 3 snipers, and we'll use a super on the solo knight. But while I'm talking about that, I'll explain the Lucky Pants. So Lucky Pants has a buff and a debuff element to it. I'm not going to go through damage numbers and all that. I'm just going to say I believe it stacks up to 9 times damage. So for every crit you get, critical hit, when you immediately swap to a hand cannon, every shot you hit crit, it stacks up to 9. Once you've done your 9, your times 9 or your times 8, whatever you reach to, once you reload the weapon, right, it will go to out of luck. That's your debuff, which lasts for 9 seconds. So what you can do is empty your Thorn, then Marksman's Dodge, swap to the bow, then swap back to Thorn, and you don't get the you're out of luck thing. So with a high mobility hunter, it's actually decent. It's actually a little bit. It's actually quite good to run high mobility. I didn't, as I explained why I didn't, because I prioritised recovery and resilience and things and discipline, because I needed the discipline for the solo knights because I'm using a subclass below par, right? But for the most part, high resilience, high mobility is really good for this because, as you say, you can sort of avoid the out of luck debuff at times. Just taking out the final overload, well, not the final overload, but the final overload that we can see from this bridge area. The scions will duplicate below you, right? Now you'll try to prioritize that and try and get the ones that you can see, but there's no point to waste time because there's like 2 or 3 scions that won't push you, and then their duplicates will, and they'll shoot at you while you're trying to take this overload. I would just crouch shoot this overload if you're getting hit to your right. Sometimes you will, just depends. You can see I've got an angle on this overload. He just keeps shooting the bridge and he's missing me. So it's really good that way. Just finding the angles. Now I must say I've sort of done Lake of Shadows to death, right? Over the, you know, obviously it's a vanilla strike, so I know pretty much a lot about it, right? So, you know, I sort of know all the angles with the champs and things like that. So it's not a problem to me. But if you don't and you watch this, then you're in the know as well. So then you're pretty comfortable with it. So it's not difficult, the GM solo this week. I would believe if someone was like not used to soloing, but they put a bit of time in it, I believe they could get this done with not that much practice. As long as they follow the steps to watch the video first, all of it, right? If they don't know anything about it, watch all of it, because there could be a detail that stops you from doing that solo. Because you know, you might just watch the boss fight and the start, but you don't watch the middle, and you don't know how to deal with the knights, and the knights kill you. Right? Extra little tips that you might miss. So I always recommend, if you're inexperienced completely with a solo GM on any GM that I've done, you watch the whole thing. Not because I want you to, because of adverts, right? It's nothing to do with that. It's so that you have less pain while you're learning your solo, because you don't need to, because I've learned it for you. All you need to do is duplicate what I'm saying to you, right? Then you're good to go. So then there's no pain. There's no pain of going through things and learning things. You don't have to, because it's there for you to watch. But obviously there's execution, and you've got to, you know, there's a difference between knowing and then doing, right? You've got to apply what you know, to what you're doing. So there is a bit of that. So there's practice involved. But once you get your practice in, that's when you can succeed. So I stun that overload champion first to jump over the unstoppable. So my idea is stun the champ. The unstoppable will go into his CQC move where he blasts you. You'll jump over that, which is easily done, and then you've got a good angle. You see the angle I've got? I just keep strafe shooting my bow on this champ. The explosive head bow, I mean, I needn't say it to you, most of you will understand. This is just going to continually overload that champ easy. A non-explosive head bow will, but it's less reliable. Explosive head is the best bow. Vorpal weapon bows are really good. Frenzy bow is really good, but the explosive head bows are the best. We'll use a super here. Now I probably shouldn't have done in the long run, but what I was wanting to speed this up, but it actually sort of slowed me down, because when I used it, I did realise that it would be beneficial to me to have a super for the next room, because the next room can be hard work with the Solar Knights. So the next room has goblins, it has 2 unstoppables, a 1 overload, and a void wizard. It's the knights that are a real pain, okay? Because you put a knight with the overload, you try and do a lot of damage to the knight, you then enrage the overload, because maybe you've done a nade and you haven't overloaded them. So then the overload champion will enrage, the Solar Knight will do his fire, and if you get hit by both, it's a death, like in a second. You're like, a split second, you'll be dead from that. What I'm doing here is I'm farming up super energy off the champ, so I'm intentionally not using unstoppable ammo on him, because you can see I've got half super. I've just used my super, I've just got half, so I farmed super up off the champ just to make a start on my next cooldown for the next room, because as I said, it's going to be really beneficial for me to have a super for these Solar Knights, for one in particular. So as soon as we go into this room, we want to do a nade to our left. Forget about the thrall that's in front of you, because as soon as you've done your nade, retreat. Because what you want to do is do damage to those goblins, the 3 goblins, because the 3 goblins will make the unstoppable immune. And then what will happen is this champion will push this doorway. He's immune, you can see it's hard work, but eventually he will stop from going immune. So this is where you can sort of damage this unstoppable from and control him. So rather than do the Thorn strat, I'm going to use a bit of heavy, because I've got heavy in the previous room to pick up, and there's more chance to get more heavy. Another thing that's added layer to this is the Solar Knight on the ledge will hit you with fire, and he'll do his void blast attack in that doorway. So you've got 2 elements that are stopping you from taking this unstoppable: the goblins, the Solar Knight. So this could be a problem to people, but that's, as I say, you need to know how to bait this unstoppable to you. You can do that by peek shooting, throwing a nade, and then waiting and listening for footsteps. I was listening, I knew that champ was coming because I heard his footsteps, you see. This time I decided not to do heavy. He's nearly finishable, that was a shame. It's close, nearly getting the finishable, because I was wanting him finishable. Actually, I do get him finishable. Thorn's damage in the end, his poison damage, makes him immune, so that's ideal. We've just saved a bit of ammo there. Because the more ammo you have for this bit, the better, honestly. You're going to need a lot of linear for the... well, you don't need a lot, but it's always a plan B if you do have a lot of ammo. Say you mess up your super, or these knights are just giving you a hard time. Having linear, having that burst damage is key for this. This is like a pinnacle moment where, okay, double primers doesn't always cut it. Sometimes you just might need that burst damage. So what I like to do is confuse the knight. So the knight will track your last position. If a knight can't see you behind cover, he will shoot the ground where you was, where you last saw you. But there's 2 points of contact you can do. So you can use this corner here and emote, right, just to see what's going on, because there's goblins that make that knight immune, right? So it's hard work, but it's patience. So what you want to do is take out the goblin, right? But as I said, one can jump over, which one did. We got the damage on there, and I believe that's the last goblin now. Now we're waiting on our nade. I've got bomber on my cape, so you can see I'm getting great energy. I forgot to mention that. That's another reason I went a solar cape just for the solar nade. It's so important. The solar nade doesn't do the damage, but it's my only form of solar shield break, so it's so important. Obviously the super is as well, but there's more than one knight there. There's the red bar and obviously the orange bar. So we're putting in damage to the knight. He's really weak. Be careful of the blight wall to your left. It won't one-shot you. For some reason this week all the blight walls seem to be doing less damage than what they were the first time this game came. I could swear they were doing a lot more damage, even killing you sometimes. This one barely hit me. So I don't know if they've made any changes with League of Shadows. I don't think so, but all the blight walls just seem to be far less threatening. But when you're retreating to this side of the room, always jump over the blight if you're not timing it like I just did there. There's one more goblin, so I lied, there's one left. Do another solar nade. The knight is one shot, but we can't go up and finish that knight because we're not on invis, and there's an overload to your right and a solar knight. And as I said, these two can be hard. These two are really hard at times. So there's a couple of angles you can take this knight from, but ideally the best way of doing this, and I was thinking on the run, what is the best way of doing it on this loadout, would be to stun the overload so the overload does not get enraged. That's so key. Stun the overload, that eliminates the overload just for that 5 seconds, and then super the solar knight. To do that, behind cover, and then just use your super. And that is then dealt with the annoying knight, and then it's just you and the overload. The overload on its own is easily controlled, as you can see. The thing about this particular overload is it's unique that it will walk up the stairs and go around at the corner and try to snipe you. That depends on where you're standing. If you're standing on the stairs, he will do that. If you're standing at the bottom of the stairs like I am, he won't. He wants to come closer to you because the champ's like, where are you? Where are you? Wanting to look where you are. Whereas if he knows where you are, he's going to go up them stairs and try to snipe you from the other side, which is not what you don't want. I'm trying to stop him here. If you can see, he's going back. I'm stopping him by revealing myself, baiting the champ, because then he wants to snipe me, right? So he's wanting to snipe me and then wanting to run up. But by me stopping him doing that, I can take him before he goes around the corner. So take him at the bottom of the stairs is the basic information with it. There's another solar knight here. You want to lead with a nade. If you've got a solar bow on, this is obviously going to be way easy to you. You wouldn't need to struggle as much as I did. The two goblins are going to make the solar knight one shot. So if you are using an awkward loadout like me in terms of like for solar, then you need to know how this knight works. So same thing again. He will attack the last location you saw to you. So there's a pillar, right? The pillar on the stairs. So all I do is just go to left and right of that pillar and stand out of the flame radius. Make sure you stand out of it. So if you want to peek left, do a bit of damage, peek left, and then you need to retreat because he's going to do his solar flame, and then attack him from the right, and then the left and the right. That's how you would slowly take him, with, as I said, without the solar bow. And that's the night taker. And we've had to use more ammo there than we really wanted to, but that's where it's coming. You see, I've benefited by just taking overloads with my bow, not using heavy, because when we really need heavy, we've used it on the solar knights, because the overloads aren't a problem. As I said, you can just bait them all day with your bow. But the Knights, that requires a bit more movement, avoiding the solar flames and things like that. This is where the Void Wizard comes in. So the Void Wizard, you need to take out all the goblins. And what you need to do is not aggro the Void Wizard until you're ready for damage. Okay, so this first pillar, if you stand here, the Void Wizard, like every time you do this, the Void Wizard will hide. Now obviously if goblins are still alive, the Void Wizard won't, he'll be aggroed, he'll aggro you. But aggro the wizard by shooting and then use your super. I missed my last golden gunshot, which he would have been dead, but that's fine, we've got Freddy Needle on, so this isn't too difficult to sort of get round. And then we take out the Void Wizard. If you've been noticing, I've been leaving bricks on the floor, and I do this a lot in a lot of GMs. I've left some bricks on the floor to go back to. I've spammed my ammo, I've got 6 left, which isn't really good enough. I want more heavy than that at the boss, but we've got a brick there. And if you noticed, I had a brick saved from a champ. So that's really good. So we can go for that. And now we're full max. So that's really good in terms of that. We charge light ×2, so we got our protective light guns, that's good. We could have used high energy fire build, but as I said, you know, you don't have to. If you want to optimize and start speed running GMs and things, obviously, you know, optimize for damage, because 20% damage is a big amount of damage. And obviously the optimal build will be with a horde, a bow, and then a linear. That is just the best setup for this. Probably Night Stalker Hunter, or maybe a Revenant. Things like that. I was just waiting for the Blight Wall, because sometimes that Blight Wall does a double burst. So it'll do one burst, you go into through the door, you think you're fine, and the second burst kills you outright. That's what I've had in the past, because I've obviously, as I said, I've got a lot of experience with this GM and a lot of GMs, but I remember all the failures of the past. So it's like, oh, I remember this, a couple of weeks ago, this happened to me. Right, I'm not letting that happen again. So I was observing that wall just to make sure there's not a double blast. There wasn't, and then we can go past. The Overlord Champion's aggroed in this room, the one ahead. If he isn't, start dealing with the Thrall, the taken Thrall to the right, then that Overlord will proceed to push you. He'll be aggroed on you. But he aggroed anyways, so that's good. So we can take him from this location safely. I'm not using any heavy. I don't need to. I don't need to use Thorn. I thought I'd stun him. I was going to use him there at the end. The only time you want to use, you know, a Thorn or something is at the very end. Malfeasance is different. It's going to do immense damage. So obviously, you know, with that loadout, you would optimize a bit more damage Malfeasance. Do a bit of damage with Malfeasance, swap back to your bow, and proceed on like that. Just be careful with these Scions. They are melting, like they are wrecking more than you think, as I said, with the arc. So I was just keeping an eye on my HP. There's one orange bar goblin in this, and then we've got 2 Overlord Champions, a Solar Knight, and then just on with the boss. So this Overlord Champion can be real awkward, but there's an angle I've seen here. This is really good. Most people won't know about this. Stand on this right hand side here, and you've got this pillar. Really good. It forces the Overlord to come out of cover, which is good, because if you fight him on the stairs, he can double snipe you so easy and kill you. Obviously you'll survive one snipe, that's fine, but these Overlords can successively hit you twice very quick. So if you've got somewhere to stand like here, it makes it so easy, whereas on the stairs it's so hard, because your shot might hit the banisters. Like a bow, if an ad's behind like a banister, the shot might hit the banister rather than the champ, not overload him, or it might not overload him properly and he might enrage, and that can be a death. Like if you've got no cover to strafe to and an overload is enraging at you, there's no surviving that unless you can go invis or something, right? And obviously that's changing, but as of now you can sort of survive it. We used our super on that overload because we're going to get it back anyways. It's worth to do. Because you can see I've just used it, I've got half. And take out that final overload. That's good. Now this is where the boss strat comes in. Now it's daytime, okay? I'll talk a bit more about Lake of Shadows, but first thing you want to do is bait the Solar Knight. Don't go down there and fight. You really don't need to. You're making it harder than what you need to. Break him with his shield. Whatever solar you've got. I just have a nade, so I use that. Use a bit of heavy, use a bit of bow, and then he'll literally just stand where you want. So that's easy took. And then there's just 2 for all. So Lake of Shadows has a day and night cycle. So does a lot of other strikes. But a subscriber of mine actually checked the time on this day and night cycle. This game, as soon as it goes to say it went from day to night, the cycle of that is 30 minutes. It takes 30 minutes to change from day to night. So it's a 30-minute day and night cycle. If you happen to have it dark right now, this is a lot harder. So what we're going to do is obviously the roof exploit that I've already showed in previous runs, but we're going to show it in this one. Now this is, you're going to find I messed my jump up for nearly 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes, I don't know how long it is. Right, because I was tired and I haven't done Lake of Shadows for a few weeks. So, but that's the beauty of this setup, is that you can make the roof exploit before you take the blight. Because as we know, when you shoot that blight down, the boss spawns in. We're not shooting no blights. We're leaving the blight up. Whatever you do on this loadout especially, don't shoot that blight down, because we're going to do it up top. You can also practice your jumps. This is an ideal thing. So there's 2 ways of getting up there. Now I popped the survey. I know that might seem strange, but you can die from fall damage in GMs. So I thought that's what was going to happen there, because you're jumping from a high height. And I have had it in this GM where I've missed my jump on this, because it's a difficult jump to make, especially on a hunter. I'm not so good on hunter jumps. I'm actually, the best jump I've got probably for mine is Titan and Warlock. Maybe more so Titan. So this jump's really difficult, right? But you can just practice it. I wasn't taking any fall damage, so that's another thing that's different. I don't know why, because as I said, when this was first up this season, I was making that jump, doing flawless runs, trying to do the roof exploit, and then just dying white, like on a hunter, because you can't negate damage. You've got 2 jumps on triple jump. On a Warlock, you know, you can sort of use your burst and then use another burst, right, to negate the damage, and Titan's even better. Right, so you can see the jump there. It's really difficult to make, but you can keep doing it over and over. You have all the time in the world to do this. That's what's so good about this strat. So it's even safer than most other loadouts. Now we can take the blight down from here, because as you know, Thorn shoots through that. So we'll shoot through the blight up here, and then we can deal with the boss. So what you need to know about this is, obviously the spawns linked to the boss's HP, Scions, Solar Knights. The Solar Knights, for the most part, won't bother you. You don't aggro them, they won't bother you. But if a Knight does happen to do Solar, he can hit you up here and kill you. So you need to be ready to move to your left and right. You can see how far you can move over. Look how far you've got. You've got so much room to move. So there's no sort of excuse for that. As soon as you see solar fire from a Knight, right, it can happen, but it's unlikely if you play very passive like I did. You're literally just shooting the boss for the most part. If you play passive like this, it's not a problem. You can just use Thorn. Thorn's not as good here because of range drop off. I mean, the poison damage is okay, but with this boss, his critical hit is so small. He keeps doing his guard. When he does his guard, you can't critical hit him. Right, the bow's actually a little bit. The bow will actually do a bit of damage to him, even though he's shielding because of explosive. So yeah, it's just a case of you just keep fighting from here. So I made a post the other day. I don't know how many people saw it. I was kind of annoyed just with the, because obviously it's Thanksgiving today for Americans, and they're off. What you need to understand is, us people in Europe, we're not like thinking about Thanksgiving, right? Because Christmas isn't now, right? I know Thanksgiving isn't Christmas. What I'm saying is, this isn't counted as a day off for us, right? So we're not thinking about that. So number one, didn't really think about early this week of Bungie, so there wasn't that. And not only that, I'd submitted a movie of the week video on their website like few days ago, and I was, you know, the closer it got to, you know, the TWAB, I was checking what votes everyone has, because there's a voting system on the website. I'll just talk about this for a good couple of minutes, because everything else in this run's self-explanatory, right? I'm just doing damage to the boss, but I just want to get this off my chest. So, you know, there's a voting system on Bungie.net for creation videos. So, you know, fan videos, people make appreciation videos, and every video that you submit, obviously if it's within reason, is accepted for Movie of the Week for the competition, and then it gets voted on by the users, right? Not Bungie themselves. We the users vote on it, but there's no voting system with it. When they choose their Movie of the Week winner, it's not based on votes. Now, I had a suspicion of that 2 years ago when I was submitting Movie of the Week videos, getting really high votes, right? Like highest some weeks, and just not winning flat out. I'm like, well, what's going on here? Is it something I'm doing? I'm not linking my BungieNet profile. I'm not doing my name, even though all my details are there for them to take. So I found it hard to believe it would be that. But no, what it is, yeah, you get votes, but they pick the winners. Ultimately, they said so on the TWAB. It's what we've picked, and that's fine. But they're not clearly stating that. They're just saying it on the TWAB. Like, if you look at the rules for Movie of the Week, it doesn't say you can vote for people, but we ultimately decided. There's no way it states that. So the information's, no one knows really. The website doesn't work so much. You've got highest rated, trending. You go on highest rated, the number one video is 5 votes, and then you've got one down at the bottom with 100. Like, what the site just doesn't work, flat out. Okay, I don't get it. So they pick who they want. That's fine, and I was sort of annoyed about that. That's why I made a post about it. If you didn't see, super annoyed, because I've been going for this emblem. You get a content creators type emblem thing. I've been going for like 3 years. 3 years of going for it. And it's just sort of like, it's been a couple of instances where I'm well ahead. I'm like more than treble votes of the next guy who won it last week. He had like 50 votes. I know the video was. I'm not saying the video was bad or whatever. But I had more, like 100 votes more than him. But he still wins it. What's all that about? So, a friend of mine doing a bit of digging, I won't say who it is, to see for the last 6 weeks who's won Movie of the Week. Right, just do a little sample. Let's see what's going on. Right, see the ratio between what platforms are they favouring certain platforms. Are they favouring PvE over PvP, PvE over PvE, whatever? What are they doing with it? So I've got 6 weeks results of what they've done since the 21st of October. Be interesting to know, right? Because this is what I do, because I want to find out stuff. So someone found out this information for me. So for the last 6 weeks, on the 21st of October, there was 2 Movie of the Week winners. One was a meme PC video. It was like a meme type thing. Then the second winner was a music video type thing. That was console, so it's PC, console, so one of each one. Then 20th of October, a Marvel video one for console. He was on console. Fine, they give him that. Then another one on that same week was a trailer type video, PC. So that's even. Then we go to 4th of November, there was a PvE Golden Gun PC, and then a PvE Anti-Bullying PC type video. That was on the 4th of November, so there was 2 PC. Then 11th of November, there was a Space Age Titan video for PC that won. And then the second one was a Race and Witch Queen car, which was all platforms. It was a multiple effort by multiple people on all platforms, so that's to everybody. Right, then on the 18th of November, there was a tribute of beauty to Destiny, I would assume, a Bungie appreciation type video for PC. And then there was a second winner on that week, which was a PvP video. Console had done it. And then last week was, this week, 24th of November, Deepstone Crypt Anniversary PC, tribute to 7 years, was the second winner. He was one of the winners for PC. And then they've done 3 videos this week. It was a video called Danger for PC. So you had 3 winners for PC last week. So when you weigh it up, right, that's 13 videos in total. Okay? And out of the 13 videos, that is 9. So out of 13 submissions winners over the last 6 weeks, 9 of them are PC, and most of them seem to be PvP. So there's a pattern emerging, right? They're just picking they're just picking safe picks. They don't want something different, or they don't want something that they don't understand, right? But maybe it's enhancing their game for viewers to watch something that they haven't watched, right? They're just picking what they've always done since 2014. Like, nothing's changed, right? I mean, I'm not calling PvP players or any platform, because I'm friends with people on PC, some exceptional players who I watch. Like, they're not born on this planet, some of them, right? But to me, that is dodgy. And if I done a sample for maybe a year, start looking at percentage, it'd be completely, you start to see patterns. So I just thought I'd mention that, get it off my chest, to let you know, like, you can't argue with that. But that was a solo GM on it anyways, with the Thorn. Hope you enjoy, thank you.